Tonight, on the Nightly Bugle, Houston ISD is under fire for a missing student, how CPS is currently involved. The House of Representatives is looking for a new House Speaker after Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy's removal. And the Houston housing crisis, how many college-age students are unable to find affordable housing. Good evening. I'm Jody Toller, and this is the Nightly Bugle at 6. Today, the University of Houston grieves 3 former football stars after a devastating crash. We go to Ariana Silvas with the report.
Thanks, Jody. Authorities state 3 of the 6 victims in a tragic drunk driving accident were former UH students. The other victims included the drunk driver who ran a red light, a woman present in the vehicle with the former UH students, and a homeless man near the crash. 5 of the victims were dead on arrival, while another died in the hospital.
The crash was so close to home. I was terrified it could have been someone we knew. It could have been us.
Driving home when we saw the crash, the car was completely crushed. We had no idea there were so many victims involved until the morning after.
The University of Houston family is heartbroken by the incident and continues to mourn the lost alumni.
Thank you, Ariana. A Houston teacher is charged with the murder of his wife. We go to Lily Elsher with the story. After a hostage negotiation, middle school teacher James Paul Anderson is charged with the murder of his wife. Anderson's wife stated in a 911 call that her husband was going to kill her shortly before a shot was fired. Anderson held his 3-year-old son hostage for 5 hours before releasing him unharmed to the police. Reports state that Anderson was a prominent figure at Santa Fe Middle School, where he worked as a special education coordinator. Santa Fe Middle School has placed Anderson on administrative leave, and he is set to appear in court on Monday. Thank you, Lily. Now, HISD is under fire as CPS begins an investigation of a student found walking on the freeway. 6-year-old special education student Serenity Polk was reported missing after a mistake at dismissal. She was found more than a mile from campus after she was released to walk home rather than get picked up by her mother. Polk was reportedly found by a Good Samaritan at a busy intersection, who then called the school. Polk's mother states she has been pushing for better accommodations for her daughter, but so far has received none. CPS and HISD are investigating the campus after this incident. A tragedy in southeast Houston as police investigate the death of infant twins. We go to Dulce Heller with the report.
Thanks, Jody. Houston police received a distress call from the fire department reporting that the infants were found not breathing. Assistant Chief Patricia Cantu of the HPD said the father had briefly left to drop off his wife, leaving the twins with their grandmother. When he returned, he found the babies unconscious and called 911. Dispatch guided him through CPR, but sadly the twins could not be revived. Currently, there is no suspicion of foul play.
3 firefighters were injured battling a fire at a historic Dickinson home. The 170-year-old house caught fire during a storm. Fire crews rushed to the scene and tried to put out the flames.
A natural gas line in the house burst, forcing the Dickinson crews out. The fire spread so quickly from there that by the time I got there, it was a total loss.
The injured firefighters were taken to the hospital. The house was the oldest existing residence in Dickinson, having been passed down for several generations. The homeowners were not injured, but the house was destroyed.
A suspect pleads guilty to murdering his girlfriend with 22 gunshots. We go to Ariana Silvas with the story.
19-year-old Frank DeLeon Jr. fatally shot his then-girlfriend over a suspected love triangle. DeLeon's girlfriend went out to walk her dog in southwest Houston and was later found with 22 gunshot wounds. DeLeon was arrested 6 days after the shooting. He was able to post his $250,000 bond, but he was arrested again for violating said bond. After the sentencing, a fight broke out with a member of the victim's family trying to attack DeLeon. No one was harmed during the fight. DeLeon will not be eligible for parole until he has served at least half of his sentence. Back to you, Jody.
A hit and run in downtown Houston leaves 2 pedestrians seriously injured. 2 co-workers left the Axelrad nightclub to head to their cars when they were both struck by a white Porsche. Both victims were injured and are currently in the hospital. They stated that they both were not drinking that night. The Porsche sped off and later stopped to let 3 passengers out of the car. The club was shut down for an hour after the accident.
Out of the friends I was with, me and my friend went to help. There were at least 20 people on the street.
The driver of the Porsche has not yet been found. A North Dakota state senator and his family dies in a plane crash as they try to return home. Doug Larson, a Republican senator, was the pilot on the plane carrying his wife and 2 children. They were visiting family in Arizona and were making their way back home. The exact cause of the crash is still under investigation. A substitute will be appointed to fill Larson's seat in the Senate. Former Hollywood star files a lawsuit against Harvey Weinstein. Dulce Heller has the story.
Thank you, Jody. In the lawsuit, Ormond claims she was on the rise when she met Weinstein in 1994, and they entered into a production agreement in 1995. She alleges sexual assault in December 1995, followed by retaliation. Ormond says she informed her U.S. agents at Creative Artists Agency, but received no support. According to the filing, none of these major companies warned her about Weinstein's history of misconduct. Weinstein is currently in prison in New York after convictions in 2020 and Los Angeles of last year. He denies the allegations.
The House of Representatives searches for a new speaker after a vote to remove the current speaker. After numerous threats from Republicans, Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy is the first speaker in history to be removed from his position. McCarthy was elected Speaker after 15 votes, another first in the history of speakership. After such a devastating vote, McCarthy says he will not run for Speaker again. The race for a new Speaker is underway, and many candidates are looking to fix what McCarthy could not. And tonight, our reporter, Dulce Heller, has a new story on the housing crisis in Houston.
Why are people struggling to find housing? In Houston, there's a massive ongoing housing crisis. There's an immediate need for affordable housing as well as safe housing. Roughly 22% of Texas renters are extremely low income and end up spending most of their income on their housing. There's a shortage of units in apartment complexes, with only a quarter of the units available for low-income families.
Crime has increased significantly in the last couple of years. Management is constantly changing, and my neighbors are extremely noisy at all hours and play music.
The available housing that he has toured has been lacking. It is unclean, the management is very disorganized, and the tenants are rude. It is also simply too expensive to live there.
Okay, so I am looking for a safe area and a lot of convenience stores nearby. Even though I do work full time, the most I can afford is $1,100 a month, and even that's kind of pushing it.
People struggling to afford rent is not a new thing, but due to rising inflation, it has become even harder to find a place to live. Another issue is finding a safe area with nearby amenities that make the area comfortable. The apartments they are searching for must also be near their work, which makes the search even harder. The housing crisis has been ongoing since prior to COVID-19. Many people are struggling and continue to struggle due to income limitations. They are still looking for affordable and safe housing and hope to find it soon. Houston has an affordable housing authority to help households find affordable housing. They provide aid, vouchers, and resources for families and couples searching. Their website is www.affordablehousinghouston.com.
Now, for our last story tonight, how M.I. Lewis is helping people in need all throughout Galveston County.
M.I. Lewis is a social service center based in Dickinson, Texas. The center has been around for 80 years, helping the community every step of the way. The M.I. Lewis mission is to provide support to individuals during hard times and promote neighborhood outreach. The center is run by volunteers and a small staff who help the facility host its monthly food drives.
At M.I. Lewis, I have helped in the pantry as well as I have passed out food. And these jobs include just sorting food in the food pantry, bagging up the food to be passed out, and actually passing out the food to the people.
Over the summer, M.I. Lewis partnered with local school districts with an event to provide free school supplies to children in need. The fair also hosted several different resources, such as back-to-school registration help.
How M.I. Lewis has helped me is that it made me realize that being an active member in my community is really important. Even doing something small, like waking up early and passing out food to people, it might be small to me, but it can have a huge impact on somebody's life.
M.I. Lewis assists over 200 families every week with food and rent assistance. They provide mobile food distribution for senior citizens and those unable to leave their homes. This November, M.I. Lewis will also be providing free Thanksgiving meals to families in Galveston County. Consider donating food, money, or other products to the M.I. Lewis Center to help those in need. I'm Jody Toller with the Nightly Bugle. Have a good night. Next up on the Nightly Bugle, Christmas shopping is underway. How to save money with online extensions such as Honey. Spotify Wrapped has been released. How the decade-long trend has broken social media. And a Texas man is behind bars tonight after posting an ad threatening Georgia officials.